So now we're going to take a spin with the wheel in the CR6 Corvette in iRacing. I've also run this in R-Factor 2 and Assetto Corsica without too much difficulty getting it initially set up, but there is some tweaking I want to do on R-Factor 2. But there's some INI files that guys have available in the R-Factor 2 forums and on the iRacing forum to smooth out the center spring on this in the R-Factor 2. But you know, R-Factor 2, I don't think I've had any wheel that just plugged and played on it because it's still in beta and there's still some tweaking to be done, just about everything you use on that. But in iRacing, you don't have any problems at all. I'm using a 270 millimeter Momo wheel here, and it's not as heavy as my 320 millimeter Momo wheel, which is a Mod 8. This is a 27D, and I'm going to have my all effect scale set at 30% for this wheel and 10% for game dampening. Now, when I go to the bigger wheels, I actually put in more all effect scale and I'll lower the dampening a little bit because of the more inertia or mass that the other wheels have. You actually can sense the difference in this motor here. And all you do is put more force feedback in it though, and then it's right back to where it felt with the smaller wheel. So it's just a little thing that I noticed there. If you ever get one of these wheels, that's just something you want to play with. But there's so many settings to play with, and everybody's a little different anyway. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into iRacing. I'm going to run at Sebring because that's about as bumpy as a track I think there is, especially in turn 17. It's a monster. And we'll go ahead and run some test laps and see how it does. First, I'm also going to take a quick temperature reading on this motor. It's at 73.5 degrees. So let's do some laps, and I'll talk about what I'm feeling when I'm doing the laps here. One thing you notice right away about this wheel is the immediacy of everything happening. You feel it in the wheel right away. If you go over a curb, as soon as the car goes over that curb, you see it happen, you feel it in the wheel. And that's really the first time I've ever had that. It always seemed like the force feedback input was a little bit behind what my eyes were seeing. And that led to things like not being able to catch a slide, even though visually your inputs were where you thought they should have been to catch a slide. And you end up spinning out and you go, wow, man, I should have been able to catch that from what I put into the wheel. But because we're feeling it on all the other wheels I've had, I was always feeling it after it really happened. I mean, you can just feel the front end sliding around as a result of your rear end breaking loose right away. I can catch just about any spin that I do with this wheel. I mean, I can feel it right away. And I don't even have my traction loss in my Stage 4 SimSteering running, which does help a lot. And the force feedback that you're getting for little bumps going down the road are, it's like they're clearer. I don't want to say they're sharper. It's just like a veil has been lifted from your feedback. Of course, turn 17 is a monster. Typically, I probably would have lost that on turn 17. Because this Corvette is notorious for spinning out, being loose all the time, and it's a monster to try to put the torque down without sliding around. And I'll drop the wheel in that dirt right there, and I felt it. As soon as I saw it, I felt it in the wheel. And other wheels, it just felt like it was just a little bit behind what I was seeing. Yep. I mean, every little bump you can feel. Couldn't catch that one because I wasn't fast enough. But one of the things that you first notice when you get in this, this wheel and you get on the track, is you feel it right away. It's like somebody has lifted a veil off the force feedback. It's very quick. You can feel it right away in your hands as you see it happen on the track. And I've never seen that before. I've never felt that before. Of course, we can adapt to whatever we see on the track and what we have to do to catch a spin. I mean, we're human beings, so we're able to adapt to that. So we are able to catch spins pretty well after a while practicing with just about any car, because we adjust to that delay in our vision and what we feel in the wheel. Here, you almost have to readjust again if you don't drive a car for real on a racetrack. You have to almost readjust again to react sooner because you're feeling it sooner. As you see it, it's happening simultaneously. You feel it in the wheel, and that's a heck of a deal there. I'm really impressed with that. I wasn't really expecting that much difference. This is really a great wheel. Leo's done a great job with this thing. Just a couple laps running it. Let's see what our temp is here. 75.9. So it doesn't really get, whoops, didn't mean to jump in the cockpit again. There we go. It really doesn't get that warm, I think. The longest I've run this is about an hour, and it got up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not even hardly warm to the feel when you feel the motor. And one of the biggest concerns I had here, because I looked at that, it's an industrial servo, and I saw the warning on it for how hot this motor can get, was I didn't want some big hunkin' hot piece of steel in front of me here while I was racing in the summer, because the old sim racing garage tends to get a little warm in the summer, even with my air conditioning unit. But I'm pleased to see that it really doesn't get that warm, even at 40% force feedback. And I don't know if I'll ever go over 40%, because this thing is a handful at 40%, even with the 320 wheel. But the force feedback is just so clear on this. This is really a kind of, I guess I could say it's a game changer. For me anyway. This thing just is something else to witness. I wish everybody could get one of these in their hands and have a drive with it. It's that good. I almost forgot how much I paid for it while I'm using it sometimes. It's just that good that wow, you know, you're just going, man, this is crazy. It's like I have a real car in my hands again. And I can't imagine how much better this is going to be when iRacing and the other simulators update their frequency, their force feedback frequency, that these wheels can more than cope with. It's pretty slow now from what I understand and what I read, but like I said, I'm not an engineer and I really don't dwell too long on that kind of stuff. I just dwell on what I can feel, and I got to tell you, this is it's a heck of a thing. You come around turn 17 on the Sebring and you're feeling every one of those bumps, and but you're able to correct quicker for those bumps. And I'm able to catch slides coming out of 17 better than I ever was. And I've actually done my personal best laps in the Corvette and in the Riley have gone down since I had this wheel, actually using it. And that's what most amazed me. I didn't think that was going to happen. But I've actually been able to cut down my times because I'm more accurate on what I do, because I'm responding right away to what the car is doing in the sim. Where before we're always a little bit behind with the Thrustmasters and even the ECC i7000. This is really something else. It's like a revelation. You know, as you can probably tell, I'm pretty impressed with this wheel. So what we'll do is, I just wanted to give you a short shot of me driving the thing in Sebring with all the bumps and stuff, and you can see the wheel movements. And I'm probably going to take a couple more laps before I kill the video, or this particular segment of it, and then we'll get into a wrap-up on the whole review of this wheel. All right, so let's wrap up the review. First, let's just get the big con out of the way. This is a very, very expensive wheel system. Leo's making no apologies for it. It cost me $4,300 and change to get this thing to the US of A. But then again, it wasn't meant for me, a guy with a motion simulator in his garage. It was meant for professional race teams and professional race car drivers. And I do appreciate actually the fact that he lets us as consumers buy this wheel. But it's a ton of money, and really it's not for just a few people should buy something like this. Let's talk about build quality. Industrial servo motor doesn't get much better than that. That's where a good chunk of the expense comes for this kit. The hub, you saw that, the one that goes on the motor shaft that holds the steering wheel. A very nice piece of kit there, well machined, very tight tolerances. I mean, I couldn't even get it back off the shaft once I took the bolts back out, as you remember in the first part of this review. So, you know, it's all top notch there. The cables, you saw those, really heavy duty data cables and power cables for the motor. The connectors are superb. The connectors on the motor and on the box itself, you saw the O-rings on there to keep the moisture and dust out. It's all top of the line stuff, and it should be at that price point. The heat, I guess I can put that under build quality. I was worried about the motor running too hot. Last thing you want is a big old hot motor in front of you or behind your steering wheel in front of you while you're trying to race, especially when the summer comes around and it gets, like I said before, kind of warm in the old sim racing garage here, even though I got a big air conditioner. But I did run it for like an hour, a little over an hour, and it got up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit, which is barely getting warm to the touch, really. And that was an ambient temperature of 72 degrees in my garage. I fully expect that to go up when it gets to 76 or 78 in the garage, which is about as max heat will go in a summer day. So I'm really not worried about that anymore, because I was worried initially, because I think I read somewhere that somebody said these things get really hot, but so far it really is not a concern. Force feedback impressions. This is, you know, I don't know how to really give you the impressions that I got. I tried to show it in the video, but really that's not anywhere near what you feel when you have this wheel in your hands. The force feedback is more defined than I've ever felt it before, and more importantly, it's just totally synced with what's going on in the sim, and it happens in your hands exactly the same time. I've never felt anything like that. It's always been like a little delay that, of course, we adapt to that delay, and we still race good with those delays because we're human beings, we can do that. But it's really nice to feel like you really are in a car, and as your eyes see something, it's happening in your hands too. That was the biggest revelation for me on this wheel. It's hard to describe, and you have to feel it for yourself, and that's why I said it'd be nice if you guys could go out to like a Best Buy or something and try this wheel, because it's really, really that good. It's a game changer for me. It's knocked some times off the laps that I usually do in the usual cars and the usual tracks. It's not going to make me an alien, because I'm not an alien. And let's face it, this wheel is not going to make you an alien either. In fact, most of the aliens running around are running G27s or even DFGTs. And I've run everything from that up to an ECCI 7000 wheel. And this is just a big step up even from the 7000, which is a great wheel. It's just hard to really convey how good this wheel is. You just really have to try one for yourself, and unfortunately it costs a lot of money to do that at this time. So would I recommend you go out and get one of these? Not unless you have some disposable income. I would not not get groceries or gas for my car to get one of these wheels, or God forbid put it on a credit card at 18%. That's just insane. Not only that, but you got to think about the AccuForce wheel that's coming out. If you're really looking to get a serious direct drive motor type of wheel, Bernie's coming out with a wheel that's going to be less than half of what this Leo Bodnar wheel costs, and he says it's going to be just as good as the Leo Bodnar wheel, which I hope it's right, because that'd be great for everybody, and more people could get in on the great feeling these wheels have. I'm in line to get one of those AccuForce wheels, by the way, in the first batch, and I can't wait to get my hands on one and get it into the sim racing garage, and then we'll get it together and see how it stacks up against the Leo Bodnar wheel. I guess that's really all I can say about this wheel. It's one of those things that you review that you really have to feel. And I hope you guys get a chance to do that sometime. It's that good. I guess that's about it. I don't have really much else to say about it. So I guess we're going to wrap it up. And once again, I'm Barry Rowland, and thanks for watching the Sim Racing Garage channel.